Aloha mai kako, kakahiaka no. So nice to see folks joining in. Welcome, 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 friends, family, everyone who's able to join us this morning. Here we are, another Aloha Friday Live. Hui Aloha Kiholo. We are so pleased to be able to bring these lives to you all, and this is no exception. This is another wonderful, beautiful panel or offering that we give you today, especially meaningful as each one is. This one, I think for me, as many have, it kind of taps into heart space and that deep-seated emotion, because we bring forward our youth, the ʻŌpio today. We always say and kind of live by the thought of always ho'olono, ho'oloheina kūpuna, to listen to our elders, their wisdom, their guidance, their alaka'i of us is always standing. We thought, in addition to that we should ho'olono ina leo ʻŌpio, listen to the voices of our youth, for they will carry things forward beyond our time and the time of our kūpuna. So for our panel today of three lovely youth, or ʻŌpio, we stand absolutely grateful and excited to hear their voices, their leo, and for these three joining us, La'ipu Hing, La'i and Kavehi Kapuzel, we just are so mahalo. As every Aloha Friday Live begins, we usually, as some of you, I see many familiar names on here that you've joined us in the past, we always have our 5-minute live kilo coming straight and direct, I guess, from Kiholo. And we want to say mahalo for one of our ʻāina staff, Analu Hanano, who's taken today's one. We're usually blessed by yet our another beautiful ʻāina, Sandy Lehua Kamaka. It's usually cousin Stan who does our lives in her epic way, and today we're going to have Analu's epic way of his kilo, bringing all of us live to Kiholo, for that is what has brought all of us and many others together, is Kiholo, this vahi pana, this place that is celebrated. And so I'm gonna pass it right to Analu, and he'll take us and lead us. And sometimes, you know, it's good to just ho'olono I ka leo o ona vahi. It's always good to listen to the voices of place. So as much as we want to amplify our Kanaka human voices, we always look to the voices and listen to the voices of place. And so that's really our big reason, if you will, for wanting to do always a 5-minute kilo at Kiholo, so that we can see, hear, feel of Kiholo. So Analu, Auntie, will pass it to you. Mahalo anui.
How's it going, everybody? Hope my video and my comms is coming in okay. I am standing in front of the local ʻŌpio, more specifically in front of the all-white road over here in the back. I'm standing on the poplar right now, and I'm just gonna be quiet for a little while. We're gonna do about 3 minutes a kilo, and then we go talk story a little bit more about what I can see, since you probably can see everything that I can. But I'm gonna be quiet now, and we can just listen and watch. Let me flip my camera. If my camera will flip. There we go. awesome. I'll bring that back in. I'm not too sure how long that was, but oftentimes when I get to come to Kiholo, I like to start off my day with just being quiet and just listening to what Kiholo has to say and what is out there and stuff like that. The area that I took you guys on top of the Papa was very, very much not exposed to the water yet, which tells me that it was a low tide when I got here this morning. So we can see the tide is rising. When I got out there, the spot that I was standing on was fairly dry, and you could smell a lot of the limu during that time when I first came in. Now the water is coming up, re-wetting, re-soaking the limu, so the smell is not there anymore. Some of the other things I seen right in the beginning, there was a big school of sardines when I was kind of trying to stay still for a little bit. I don't think you guys could see that, but it was right where that little leaf was floating. But yeah, so I brought you guys over to the OI because I think we'll be talking about it a little later on today. But I think the OI is such an awesome place, and it's one of the spots I like to come and check out when I do my checks, because you can tell a lot just from what the OI is doing. You can see like the way the water is flowing into the kai and how the kai is coming back into the spot where you can see all the young fish congregating right at the mouth, because all the nutrients is coming out of the local, so all the fish is able to feed outside of the local, and the fish that make it inside are able to feed inside. So it's more, it has two functions, not only feeding inside the local, but the local also feeds back to the kai. So it's just very, very closely related in that kind of way and stuff like that. But on top of that, there's also the predator fish, which I was able to see while I was standing out there. The smaller ʻŌpio coming in and whacking the sardines while they're trying to take shelter amongst these small little, I don't know, little protection from the papa that they can get and stuff like that. I was also able to see tree wo and one humu humu nuku nuku apua, and a lot of birds chirping this morning. The skies is clear until I look towards Huawa and Huanogulu, and it does look like it's getting dark, which I don't mind because I'm in the sun all day. But for the regular beachgoers, it might make them want to go home a little sooner. But yep, that concludes my kilo section for today. Thank you guys for joining me. Aloha.
Analu, mahalo anui. What a beautiful, just for you to be standing ike kai in the water, in the kai, the ocean, and it gives us, we could hear some of the sounds, just the makani, we can hear the wind and some of the ocean voices. But your kilo really gives us a picture, right? A glimpse into this time, so we can timestamp in our minds what the situation or the conditions were at Kiholo today, and what I'a was out and about kind of in your zone that you could see them. So our aloha, always to Kiholo, for Kiholo. And you certainly did a really awesome job bringing us there this morning. So thank you. Mahalo, mahalo, mahalo yaoi e analu. Thank you, and hope you stay on and join us for the rest of our Aloha Friday live. But mahalo anui. Okay, friends, family, I am extremely excited to bring forward these three ʻŌpio on this panel. For a couple of them, I would say that I've seen them grow up to be the two young ladies that they are today, having them in our school. So we want to say mahalo to Kanu o ka ʻāina, as these two young ladies come from this school. La'i Bertelman, La'i Puhing, 2 out of our 3 panel members. And I think I'll talk a little bit in introduction wise about La'i Pu. Myself and Monica Frazier did a outreach to Kanu o ka ʻāina a few months ago to La'i Pu's classroom. And this was one of our biggest reasons for requesting her to be on the panel. We did our presentation, we took a break, and we had put out a thought of a makaha. What would a makaha, a modern day makaha, look like? And it has to serve a particular purpose. We'll get to that later. Well, by the time we came back on break, La'i Pu came up to Monica and I with a drawing. This wonderful drawing of what she saw as a makaha. And so we thought, okay, you know what? She's really stepped forward and shown us that she has this interest, perhaps an engineering mind. I'm not sure all of it, but so that is really one of the biggest reasons why we had asked La'ipu to sit on our panel. Is she had already on her own shown this interest to say, I think I can design a makaha, and I think it should have this component and this component. So for that, La'ipu, we say mahalo and we welcome you to the panel. La'i Bertelman. For La'i Bertelman, our reasoning for asking La'i Bertelman, first and foremost, is she has a genealogical tie to Kiholo. Yes, she is my sister's daughter. So her great-great-great-grandfather, the man in our genealogy whose name is Keakealani, born at Kiholo, is La'i's great-great-great-grandfather. So we wanted to have someone seated on the panel who is a lineal descendant of this ahupua'a, of pu'uwa'awa'a, and probably since she was in her mama's opu, was brought to the shores of Kiholo. So for that reason, we had asked La'i Bertelman to sit on the panel. Finally, our third panelist, we want to say mahalo to HPA, Hawaii Preparatory Academy, as Kavehi is a senior there. And so for his teachers and his ohana, right? Mahalo to all of their ohana for allowing this time and space. But I first meet Kavehi where he's going to take the leadership role in one of our mele mural here in town. And seeing Kavehi in his most humble but very beautiful ways lead his fellow students and all of us really through this process of a mele mural here that graces the walls of our community center here by Waimea Park. And then looking that Kavehi reaches out to us as a senior capstone project. He wanted to focus in on Lawai'a Pono and what are the present day rules and why, and all, you know, just his inquisitive nature of asking, and what are the conditions of our oceans and why, and what can we do to help better the situations, really led us to go and ask Kavehi to be on this panel. So for all of these reasons and so much more, we have seated on this Aloha ʻāina ʻŌpio panel, La'i Bertelman, La'i Puhing, and Kavehi. So we're gonna dive in. Again, it's more about their voices than it is for mine, but in helping prepare for today, we brought out 4 essential questions. And so I'm gonna, in no particular order, we'll just call on you to bring forward your answers. And the first one, of course, the first question we asked you all is, what is Aloha ʻāina to you? What does that mean? What does it look like, sound like, taste like maybe? What is Aloha ʻāina? And so again, this open-ended, very broad question, I think that really can render no one right answer, but rather whatever is your answer is the right answer. So maybe we'll go right to Kavehi and ask you, and then we'll follow right up after Kavehi with La'i Puhing and then La'i Bertelman. So Aloha ʻāina, what is that to you, for you?
Thank you for the introduction, Kumukule. To me, Aloha ʻāina, I think the phrase has changed a little bit, the meaning. I think traditionally, Aloha ʻāina was a connection that people had with nature, not just physically land, but rivers, the ocean, wildlife. The ʻāina sustained people, and if it wasn't cared for properly, people wouldn't survive. But today, I think the phrase represents more, because people aren't as dependent on nature as they used to be. We can go and buy food from stores, stuff like that. I think the direct link to nature is not the same. It's kind of shifted. And now I think Aloha ʻāina is more how to protect the environment out of respect, so we can continue to behold beautiful the beautiful environment, and also continue fun activities like fishing, diving, hiking, farming, stuff like that. Yeah.
Mahalo anui kawehi. Looking at evolution, this is the word. When I listened to kawehi, it kind of brought forward for me like this evolution of aloha ʻāina, and that there's foundational basis for it. It's a connection to place, to nature, to elements, and all of those things. But that in our day today, we look at an evolution that has happened, and that aloha ʻāina can be seen in a variety of ways. And your phrase that we can continue to behold the beauty. Just kind of sit in that we can behold the beauty. Beautiful, spot on. I better mute myself and pass it on to Laipu. Mahalo.
Mahalo nui, Auntie. So, what does aloha ʻāina mean to me? To me, it means to take care of our land. So, to better rephrase that, to me, it means that I need to start looking into more traditional ways on how I can help my ʻāina, how I can help my community and give back, which is what I'm going to be focusing on in senior year next year. And I wanted to focus on what I can do based off of my knowledge to give back to my community. So this, being in this right now, is helping me understand that I can give back to them through aloha ʻāina by traditionally raising our fish again, and then give that back to them. It also means that I just love to it also means to me that to love your land, your tradition and your culture. This is basically, for Hawaiians, this is the place where we came up from. This is where we were raised, and to see our traditions slowly fading away is just, it's sad. It's sad. So I want to do my best to help my community traditionally through aloha ʻāina. Mahalo.
Woo, as I knew it. This would be kind of one of those heavy duty, if you will. And I say that in a beautiful way, that this taps very deep, perhaps, even into that space of DNA, that Laipu is talking about tradition, and we bring those things forward, and that they not be forgotten or left, ikawa mahape, that they remain kind of in historical context or traditional context, but that they are present in us today. So Laipu, kind of that looking back as we look forward, is kind of what I really heard in your beautiful explaining of what aloha ʻāina means to you. So like kawehi, I elevate your words and I say ola to that. La'i Bertelman, we come to you, and again the same question of aloha ʻāina. What is that for you, to you, in you? Laipu actually said something else, right? It's about what we can do. What can I do specifically? She said, what can I do? So that then brings a charge forward for each one of us to perhaps ask ourselves that question, what can I do? And that individual and collective movement is beautiful. So La'i Bertelman, o'oi.
Aloha mai, and thank you, Auntie. To me, aloha ʻāina represents more than just malamoing our ʻāina. It's having respect for our ʻāina and our kai, and it's fulfilling our kuleana to ourselves, to our kūpuna, to our akua, to our ʻāina, of course, by keeping it thriving and alive, and by keeping our connection between our ʻāina and ourselves strong and thriving.
So that's that word, thriving, ahu ahu, ehu ehu. This is your Hawaiian word about for thrive, thriving, beyond surviving. It's beyond that, right? It takes it to this level of thrive. When you thrive, you think of being probably at the utmost healthiest stage when someone or something can thrive. Another word that La'i mentioned is kuleana, that we assume responsibilities, and that responsibility isn't much looked at as a burden or, oh my gosh, what do I have to do? But rather we assume and we accept it. We receive it. I think that's the thing. We receive it from the generations before us, and we take our place. We assume that kuleana. And at some point, which is why I think this day is welling much emotion for me, because I look at you folks and you're going to take this forward. You're going to take what we do today, what has been done in the past, us today, presently, and you guys are going to move it into the future, continuing with adaptation, resilience. Kavehi said, well, that evolutionary, how things change and morph and take on perhaps newer, broader meaning. Nevertheless, mahalo nui and ʻŌpio. Beautiful, beautiful answers. Okay, this one was about stepping into the dreamscape. And we put out the question of a dream job. What would a dream job, if you could create your dream job, what would it be? And again, no wrong answers, right? We just want you to voice that. We want you to be able to speak that to all of us who will stand witness to this. And there's an olelo no'eau that says mana kaleo, that in our voices there is power. And so this was just kind of a little fun thing that we thought, hey, we've got 2 seniors and 1 junior on our panel, and you guys are kind of at this threshold maybe, or at this point where, whoa, you're gonna push on in life. Your high school career, at least for 2 of you, end in a couple of weeks. Wow, celebrate that. So, and La'ipu comes into her senior year. So dream job, dream job, dream job. And we're gonna start with La'ipu, and then we go Kavehi, and then La'iberdomen. So dream job, go into the dreamscape.
Okay, so for my dream job, I want to raise a local but it's not only for ama, it's for one of the fish these days that is being not sorry, wait, I'm trying to rephrase this. Is being taken from its home every single day and doesn't really get the chance to reproduce, since it's such a high demand on the markets. But the fish I'm talking about is ahi, yellowfin tuna. So I've been noticing this a lot, and I wanted to do something about it since I learned about since we got into marine biology. I not only want to help the fish thrive again, I also, like I said before, I also want to give back to my community. So by doing this and getting to learn more about this yellowfin tuna, I can help protect them and put a certain, like, if I can put a certain restriction on um the spawning seasons. This is, I know it's going to upset a lot of fishermen, because this is one of our ways how we can raise money. So this is actually going to be a real struggle, but you know what? I can push through, because if I can get through this, I know I could probably get through getting my dream job. Mahalo.
Ooh, La'ipu. We say kudos to you and your efforts. You said something really key, that sometimes in our Aloha ʻāina efforts, it might make others upset. It might not be so pleasing to everyone. But I believe we're more on the same page than we're not. We all want to continue to eat fish. We all want to continue to be able to move in these ways. And like Kavehi said, dive and fish and, you know, sustain ourselves with that. And sometimes this is what it's going to take to make that happen. So I commend you for wanting to, you know, specifically, not just lokoi'a, but looking at ahi as well, which we all love to eat. And what a sad day to think that we would have no ahi. What? Can we even imagine that? I do want to kind of put in at this point a real big mahalo to your kumu. For La'ipu, her big kāko'o and support was Elika, kumu of Kanu o ka ʻāina for Kawehi, Pualani, Lincoln Mai Elua for La'i, the people that surrounded her, Noeau Lindsay, Kanoa Castro, these teachers and admin of your schools that really can get behind you folks. And hopefully we find these ways to, I think we're a community, we're a village, and we all have a part in raising you folks to move you guys into your dream job. And we have we all have a part in it. So your teachers at school, your ohana at home, and you yourself. So on to the dream job. Kawehi, he ahala kau, he ahala, he ahala.
That's a great dream job you got there, La'i. I would definitely love to help you with the ahi idea you have. I definitely agree with what you're saying. But for me, my dream job right now is to be an architect. I'm really fascinated with building tiny houses, which is kind of minimal living and kind of saving space. I feel people today kind of are what's the word, infatuated with large things, especially Americans. We like big houses, big cars, a lot of food, all that kind of stuff. And I thought maybe I could try to find a way or create housing that is smaller and more affordable, but also comfortable and convenient for people. So that I just think it's healthier too. I don't know. I kind of want to look into that for my dream job. I also want to be connected with the ocean still, so doing ocean conservation things like that will always be in my mind. And yeah, that's what my dream job is right now.
Hola. We put life to that. To me, Kawehi, it's about this footprint. You becoming an architect perhaps will allow for a minimal footprint on the ʻāina instead of big, and not big all the time is not bad, but a smaller footprint perhaps, a lighter footprint perhaps. Certainly I can see how that would be beneficial to ʻāina. And so always to have, right, like you said, it'll always be on your mind. I think for all of us in this kind of work, the health of our ʻāina is always on our mind. We probably go to sleep thinking about these things, waking up about, and whatever it might be, that we think about our effect that we're having. All actions have hopena, have consequences and reactions. So thinking about in the architect world, how you can make a difference. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Hola, La'i Berdoman. ʻŌʻoino.
Okay, so my dream job out of my many dreams is to actually work as a cultural practitioner and find some way or form to malama the ahupua'a that I come from, which is the kaupulehu ahupua'a. So I would want to figure out some way to give back from the uka, like Puanahulu, Puawa'a area, all the way down to the kai, to like Kiholo, Kalaimano, over there, because I feel that it shaped me and it malamad me all this time as I grew up, and I want to give back to that. Mahalo.
Woohoo. Okay. Reciprocity. Caring for that which has cared for you, or that does in the present care for you. For us to view these places, right? Yuka, Ikai, these are the places that literally we eat from. So very true that it grew us, it built us. And then looking at what we're going to do to give back. So this reciprocal relation, La'i Bertelman named 3 ahupua'a that her lineage brings her to, Kaupulehu, Pu'uwa'awa'a, Pu'uwanahulu. And so she will assume her seat. This is what we talk about, succession. We have received Koleana. We're gonna take on and carry the Koleana to as far as we can and as long as we can. And then others come into the fold to take it as long as they can, as much as they can, which is beautiful. In a line of heritage carriers, Koleana keepers, we onward. So La'ipu, to the ahi and to the lokoi'a, kawehi, to architecture and ocean conservation, to La'i Bertelman, in any way, shape, or form that she can give back to these ahupua'a that raises her. Here it is. All of your dream jobs point right back to Aloha ʻāina. Every single one of them is a direct link, if you will, to Aloha ʻāina. So I think this helps us expand our minds of what is Aloha ʻāina? How can architecture really be linked to Aloha ʻāina? We just heard it. Smaller footprint, healthier. You know, and maybe Kawehi's designs, you are going to be inspired by the kai. So maybe in some of your architecture, you're going to put in what ocean swells look like and what do the coral look like. You're going to be inspired by the kai in your architecture. So anyway, friends and family, I think in this particular exercise, it just goes to show us Aloha ʻāina is seen in many different ways. And I think that's beautiful. Perspective. We are gaining much perspective by these ʻōpio and their beautiful sharings. Okay. Question number 3, are you guys feeling good? How's this live going for you guys? Thumbs up, La'ipu, Kawehi, La'i Bertelman. Are we good? Not too bad. Yeah, we've eased in. You guys have gotten through your 2 questions. We've got 2 more, but you folks just so awesome. We continuously elevate you all as our ʻōpio. We just love you all dearly. Okay, this portion I think is almost a little bit of a spin-off of your folks' last question, dream job. La'ipu kind of nailed it in as much as she was talking about there might be certain rules that I gotta make for the ahi so that they can go reproduce and they can do their thing. Spawning, I think was her exact word, that she wanted to look at spawning for ahi. So this next question that we put to our lovely ʻōpio friends and family has to do with exactly that, the making of rules. In Hawaii today, we have a couple of communities that are CBSFA, Community-Based Subsistence Fisheries Area, and we're going to elevate Uncle Press folks, Haena Kauai. We're going to look at Uncle Mac Poi Poi folks on Mo'omomi Molokai, Miloli'i coming online, Kipahulu Maui. We have all of these communities that have, it's recognized by the state of Hawaii, and it brings management and rulemaking right home to those communities that have that designation or are waiting to obtain this designation of a community-based subsistence fishery area. So we asked these 3 ʻōpio, think of a place or a beach that you are connected to, or like maybe La'ipu, the vaster, deeper ocean. And if you could create 3 rules, 3 what we call malama ʻāina rules for your wahi, your place, that would help in exactly that, malama ʻāina, what would the 3 rules be? We're gonna start with La'i Bertelman, then La'ipu, we go come to you next, and then Kawehi. So your 3 rules that you would create and make, and why? Why those 3 rules? So La'i Bertelman, ʻōʻoino.
Okay, so when I began thinking about the rules that I would have my Aloha Aina rules, I kind of thought of making it based on fishing and when we kiloi upena and whatnot, because the last time we went to Kiholo, actually, me and my cousin were sitting on the beach and watching my papa kiloi upena, and he was getting really frustrated. So he ended up stopping and he came up and we asked him what was wrong, and he's like, the i'a is just wild now. So my rules are based on fishing, like I said. One of them was to limit the amount of fish, the type, and when you can go and fish. So I figured one of my other rules would be during ole moons, we would follow like the traditional moon phases. You wouldn't be able to fish or kiloi upena. And also another rule would be to limit the amount of walking and limit the amount of walking and disruption people may cause when somebody is fishing or throwing net. And my last rule would be to actually have to go through kind of like when you get your hunting license, to have to go through classes or something of throwing net and fishing, so that you know what you should do and how much you should take and what is right and what is wrong, just so that our fish have time to reproduce, so that you know how you how to do these things so that the fish aren't wild and it's easier for the next fishermen to do the same.
Lovely, La'i. We that's jam-packed with a lot of things, which is beautiful. But herein lies one of the present day rules, if we want to look at that, right? Bag limits, species limits. There's certain types. So we talk about seasons, right? When will ama season open? When is lobster season closed? When is, you know, all of those specific laws, rules that I think are meant to help. But the thing in Hawaii is it's so place-based specific that what might be good for He'ea or Ahu might not ring so true for Kiholo, Hawaii Island. So herein lies the community-based management. So for you, honing into your wahi and looking at kind of how would we pull a very specific rule for Kiholo? What would be the bag limits? What would be the species limits? You pulled in traditions, looking at moons, and okay, straight across, all ole moons, no fishing. And that also led you to reproduction, so that maybe it is on these ole moons, we're not sure, right? So here's what we wanted you folks to do, right? It wasn't like we got it all figured out, we know what and who and where, but we wanted to give you guys a chance to speak to what are possibilities. That right there gives us an opportunity, or to take that opportunity to look at what are possibilities. So La'i, you hit on something, and I was actually watching Kavehi's face when you talked about like fishing classes. So maybe you folks were gonna have, none of you folks, I believe, had any contact with each other prior to this, and maybe you did, I'm not sure, but maybe some of your rules are gonna be overlapping or very similar, which is beautiful. So when I saw Kavehi smile, I thought, oh, maybe he's thinking of that too. But classes, Lawai'a classes, just like there's hunting classes and you got to get your hunting license and learn, there's certain things you should know. You said something very interesting, right? The disruption, how humans can disrupt a lot of things, but one of which where you saw firsthand the disruption of Papa trying to throw net and do his kilo, and he could have been sitting there for 2 hours. And here walks a whole crowd of people walking right in front of him, right along the shoreline. And here comes a few boys, little boys, maybe they don't know, but throwing rocks, and there went the auna, right? There went the fish. So Papa says, I'm done. There is no more holo holo for me today. So although I came to Kiholo a little bit ono, or maybe not a little bit, a lot ono for nenue, I'm going home with no nenue today. And so through these classes, perhaps it is a way for just that, for the general public to know, you see a fisherman on the shoreline, please don't walk in front of him. Please don't throw stones into the ocean. Protocol, right? Etiquette. How are we going to act is very, very important in this tradition. So La'i Bertelman, thank you. And remind Auntie, who did I say going next? I forget, is it La'ipu? Okay, La'ipu, your turn, darling.
La'i basically said all of the rules I said. So thank you, La'i. Yes, she speaks a very good point. Yes, learning when it's time to go fishing for certain types of fishes and what time the season ends to go fish for them. Yes, we definitely need to catch up on that very today as well, because everybody is overfishing, and we barely remember any of the traditional seasons. So we're like, okay, since I don't know this, or a majority of fishermen I know these days do this, okay, so I don't know the traditional season, so we're just gonna go holo holo. That's basically how I see it. And they technically, I wouldn't say they don't care, but they just are a little careless with it. They don't necessarily look at when these fish are going to reproduce, and they kind of are, I'm not speaking towards anyone in particular. They technically are not trying to, they're slowly trying they're slowly destroying our fish population. So yes, that on one end is correct. Yes, I agree with La'i all the way. And that's my manao. Mahalo.
Thank you, La'ipu. You do bring up a great point, that not a lot of there hasn't been much carryover of knowledge, where we know how to fish perhaps, but the thing of when to fish, when are fish spawning, and every fish, I don't think it's a blanket, every fish going spawn on this moon, on this day, in their seasons and seasonalities for things. And I think that's the part of what we need to perhaps relearn. And like you said, get on top of it. And so we really know this particular i'a is spawning at this time. Yeah, that might not be our time to go get it. And so to speak to that, to know when spawning cycles happen. And again, this word, La'i Bertelman said, disruption. Sometimes when we don't know, we disrupting the reproduction cycles of these fish that we so want to keep eating, that we so want to keep having in our oceans and on our shorelines, and that we can set aside sometimes our need to say, I need opihi for this party. I need opihi. Really? It might not be the time for you to go get opihi because they're spawning right now. So it's choices. Comes down to choices to say, yeah, my need is not greater than this particular i'a and their need to reproduce. So thank you. Thank you. Kavehi. Ko mana'o.
I think La'i's idea about classes are a great idea. I mean, if we have classes for hunting, I think it should be the same about fishing, just so we have, a clue about the laws that are in place. La'ipu, I think a word kind of for those people who are who didn't know the season or anything, maybe like they were unaware, or maybe ignorance, kind of a strong word, but just like a lack of knowledge. And Kumu kind of said it perfectly. They know how to fish, but they just don't know when, or when the spawning times or stuff like that. But my 3 rules I picked are kind of more beach specific. So my first one was require reef safe sunscreen. So no big corporate ones. The reason I chose this was because the last time, or a while back, I went to Cool Bay, and I hadn't been there in maybe a year or so. And when I went there, it was packed with people. And I went in the water, and there was like a film in the water, and it was kind of, I don't know, it's kind of sad and kind of gross. So I don't know, kind of disturbing. So I think kind of getting safer alternatives to protect that would be great. My number 2 is kind of similar to La'i's with disruption. This is a little more controversial, but kind of limiting how many people are allowed on a beach at a certain time. I know that's a little weird, but I just think that would lessen how much damage can be done at a time. Number 3, it's not really a rule, but more of an addition. I think all beaches should have diversified trash bins, kind of. Specifically for plastics, papers, bottles, and landfill. I know a few beaches just have one trash can. It doesn't really help in the broad picture. So I think there should be a variety of trash cans for different things. Yep, those are my stuff.
Oh, I love it. You see, so same thing like our dream jobs. They kind of all can point right back to Aloha ʻāina. All of these rules can point all back to Aloha ʻāina. Whether directly or indirectly, it is no doubt all Aloha ʻāina kinds of rules. Kawehi, when you talk about limiting people to a place, I don't know that that's so far-fetched. I think this is the thing. What I get from that is carrying capacity. That's the word, carrying capacity. We all, as humans, we all got carrying capacity. We can only take so much. And then it gets heavy and heavier and heavier. Well, why would we not look at place in the same way? Place has a carrying capacity. Do we know what that carrying capacity is? We kind of got to call that shot, right? Kiholo's not going to say, I can take 200 people daily. No. Or ho'okena, where my lovely Papa Chucky, sorry, not ho'okena, but Napopo and ho'okena. We love ho'okena. We love all of our places, but Uncle Chucky Leslie folks. Down at Manini Beach, when we went, I thought, oh, look, Manini Beach is not that big, but holy smokes, the people and the people and the people and the people. And I mean, I was feeling overwhelmed by the amount of people at that beautiful space, but carrying capacity. We really got to look at that and say, no, this is, we have reached kind of a limit here. What we're going to do, just keep letting some more, and then just keep going and not just keep coming. Okay, I better stop on that. but point well taken, each one of you. Diversified bins, trash bins. We want to give folks the benefit of the doubt, and that we all want to do good. We all want to do what's right. Right? We hope we're putting that forward. Be your best self. Bring your best self forward to any place that you go to. But sometimes it's like, where do I put this? So a new addition for Kiholo is we have a monofilament disposable. Yeah. So if you ever come to Kiholo and you find fishing line and whatnot, there is a proper place to dispose of that now. But before that, a couple weeks ago, never really have a particular place for that besides the trash cans. But you're right, Kawehi. So I can see all of us getting behind that to say, we should make this, I don't know if it's a campaign, what the right word is, but let's have ample trash cans at every place. At least that, and diversified so we can recycle. We can, again, this is all Aloha ʻāina, right? Can you guys see it? Every single thing that these ʻŌpio are bringing forward today is directly at the core, at the pico of it all, is Aloha ʻāina. Okay, we are, oh my gosh, we're kind of minutes away from being done. So I'm just going to say this. If you folks are okay to not be hard and fast at the 10:30 strike of the clock that we're going to go off air and be like done, because this part was very important for these ʻŌpio, this final question. We had asked them to be creative, use your creativity, your beautiful creative minds. and do a drawing, a rendering. Monica is going to share screen shortly. Each one of these haumana, kawehi, laipu, and lai Bertleman, drew for us a makaha, a modern day makaha, sluice gate, if you will, that would traditionally belonged in a lokoi'a system. You've got your lokoi'a, you've got your auai walls and your makaha gates. We asked them, use your imagination. What would a makaha look like? What could a makaha look like that would serve its traditional purpose, having, you know, spaces in between the sluice gates, letting pua or smaller fish come in, and they grow big in the lokoi'a and they cannot get back out. Hence, the reason, function of lokoi'a to grow your fish. But here's another element. We needed a makaha gate that could potentially let honu in, undisturbed, perhaps in and out, 2 ways that they could get in and out. So we put that to the haumana. And any one of you, this one I won't choose. Is any one of you compelled to go first? And then that'll help Auntie Monica know which one of your drawings to go up first. Laipu, kawehi, lai. Anybody want to speak to your drawing first? Okay, laipu. So just give us a quick second. Monica, thank you so much. Monica's going to bring up Laipu's drawing, and Lai, you just unmute and you walk us through your makaha lokoi'a drawing. And I want to say thank you to you all for this kind of thought that went to it, because I know this was kind of a big ask for you folks, but kudos to you three. So Laipu, you can take it over.
Okay, first I want to apologize for my kapulu writing. It looks like chicken scratch, I know, but I was working with what I got. So my idea for this makaha idea was that we have 2 separate away. So one for the baby ama like traditionally, and then one for the honu. So at the top you can see that example, and then we'd have we'd have the 2 makahas in the away to help those. Anyways, I'll go back down to the bottom. So the bottom, I was thinking of this kind of, Antialika helped me with this idea a little bit. So my idea was to kind of split off the makaha into 2 sections. So, but it at the same time it'll actually be a whole lokoi'a for the baby ama, because what I was thinking is, as you can see that little note on the side, small holes, that would be an idea to think of for the baby ama, so that way they're not just trapped in one half of the lokoi'a. They can just instead go through it 24/7 when they're babies, and then when they start to get older, that might be a problem. I'm just thinking about that now, because when they grow until their adulthood, it might be a little harder for them to get through, but I'll think of that anyways. So yes, there is that. And then down on the bottom, where if you see the sand ramp or mound that you see, I sent Auntie Monica a second photo of that idea. Yep, there you go. Thank you. So for this one, Auntie Lika also helped me with this, is I was thinking we could do like a sand mound for these turtles. It could keep most of the predators out. I know Puhi can slither onto the land, but like I said, I'm also thinking of other ideas. So it'd be safe for the fish and turtles. The fish could not get out. They have 24 access in and out of the local. And the niho stones, as you can see on the bottom, would just be there for kind of making the sand mound a little bit more shallow to get up on, so that way the predators won't be able to get in so far, and then they just turn around and be like, okay, you know what, never mind, it's on land, I cannot. And I'm hoping these turtles would be able to climb over this mound. And how, I'm not saying turtles are non-intelligent. They are very intelligent mammals in our oceans. And yes, that's all I have. Mahalo.
Well, La'ipu, I can see the thought that went into this. Well, you're at, so I kind of saw like an evolution. Yes, La'i is putting up some clap hands. Evolution of the away. Instead of what would be like a traditional one, of course, two walls, but this channel, it kind of evolved the makaha to be a two access point, one with makaha and one without. So here is your forward thinking. And that's what to me is the beautiful thing about all of this. Oh, thank you, Monica. Here is your awai, well, specifically our awai at Kiholo. So looking at this and picturing perhaps on your drawing, you rendered, I think, makaha on two sides of one wall. But it's this notion of having two awai as opposed to one, who's to say? Again, this was about possibilities, opportunities for us to think about what could be. Instead of what we know can, or we know can, we're looking at what can. Yeah, just changing that mentality to be creative and say possibly this and possibly that. When you put that sand mound, we know turtles do that. They do climb up and they're gonna put their eggs in. So we know they can climb over and it's a natural behavior for them. So kudos to you for integrating these thoughts and these mana'o of what could possibly be. So la'ipu. Yay, yay, yay. Everybody, kudos, and a big applaud to you. Kavehi or La'i Bertelman, any one of you perhaps want to go second? And I don't see you on my screen, so you can just unmute and let Auntie know who would like to share your drawing next.
I don't mind going next.
Hiki no e kavehi, mahalo anui.
So I kind of decided to do kind of a ramped idea. I really like La'ipu's 2 entry idea. That's really cool. I can't believe I was so like fixated with like 1 entry, so that's kind of cool that you came up with that. So on the top, I just have the pretty standard makaha, and at the top, it would be lowered, so it'd be below the water, and on top would be a ramp for Honu to kind of wiggle their way over and back through. On the bottom, it's kind of different. There's it's like a side section, similar ramp, but fish wouldn't be able to go that way. They would stay going to the regular makaha, and then Honu would have to go on the other side, climb up that ramp, and below at the bottom is kind of just like a top view of that. There'd be 2 entries right next to it. Yeah, that's basically it.
Wow, we can definitely see your architect mind. And yes, I see Uncle Darrow, Papa Darrow, applaud. I echo that applauding of you, Kavehi. I can see, right, this. So you guys are very much in that, both of you looked at 2 entry points. And I think that is about, again, that this word, the evolution, how things can change and move forward. Traditionally, makaha, you got one opening. An awai, one opening. But this kind of diversifying, if you will. Oh, I just had a deja vu moment. Okay, yeah, I gotta come back. That was just deja vu. That we look at an awai having 2 openings for this purpose, right? We're trying to look at how Honu would be able to access into the lokoi'a. So both of you along the same lines of having 2 entry points, one for honu and one keeping the traditional function and purpose of makaha, sluice gates. But like Laipu, even if it's chicken scratch, you guys should see some of Auntie's Peppa's and drawings. But Kawehi, to your rendering, definitely visuals, and you gave us top view, side view, whatnot. Is very beautiful from vantage points. Hey, that's another good takeaway for today, that we're elevating a myriad of vantage points as seen through the eyes of these ʻōpio. And so that takes us to La'i Bertelman and her rendering of what a makaha in her mind would potentially look like. And on to you, La'i.
Okay, Kalamai, for my drawing, I'm not an artist at all. I'm also not a very good engineer in any way, shape, or form. So this was kind of difficult for me, trying to incorporate the factor of letting the honu get in and out. So I actually called Auntie Kule one afternoon and I was like, Auntie, I really need help. Like, I have absolutely no ideas. So I actually asked her about tides and like, when is the usual time for honu to come in and out of the loko? So I thought maybe we could make a makaha that would fluctuate with the tides. But then thinking about that idea, I also figured that when the honu can come in and out, the fish can also come in and out. So that would kind of defeat the purpose. So with the funds, I would think that we could invest in some kind of sensor that when the honu approach, the makaha would open up, and when they go through, it'll close. And the sensor would be on both sides so that the honu can come in and out, but fish are small enough that the sensor won't catch it. But like I said, I wanted to keep it as close to the traditional makaha, as close as possible. So it would be created like a regular or traditional makaha, like held together with the lashings, and it would hold the same function, but just with a little bit of a modern touch incorporated into it. Mahalo.
Okay, you all probably know, yes, we all applaud that La'i comes from a Paniolo background as well, so she had the rope to open and close that makaha. I was like, hey, there's that Paniolo flair in it where we use that kaula. Nevertheless, La'i Bertelman, thank you for that rendering. So she puts a little spin on this, talking about sensors. Like, okay, now we're going to move the makaha into kind of modern day by putting in a sensor, which made me think of like those, what do we have? The motion sensor kind lights. Like when something comes or you walk by, oh, boom, the light come on. So kind of that motion sensor, I think is what La'i was thinking about. And I think that would have to be like the most epic sensor, because I think it would constantly be having to open and close and whatnot with all of the activity that comes in and out. But here's the thing, you guys. What Auntie looks at right now is it is about possibilities. Again, we don't have every single little detail figured out. Sensor this, two entry points, but this exercise was about opening that space and that time for you folks to say, this could be possible. We could do this. If we all put our minds together collectively, we can do this. We can do anything that we put our minds to. Look at that. I'm something in the chat. Sensors can be low tech based on tides. Beautiful solution with a thing. Okay, see, so people are already chiming in to what you folks are doing. Sorry, that one went just pop up and I wanted to read it. I think the auntie's name or Tita's name was Anne. But it kind of went off of my chat already. But this is what we mean, right? We just continuously hanai, this word hanai, that we feed, we foster, we encourage this kind of thought, this kind of attitude to say, let's not talk about what's not possible. Shall we talk about what is possible? And for that, you three have brought forward a beautiful Aloha Friday Live. We have come pretty much to this palena pau, to our end time. We have addressed our 4 questions that we brought forward to you guys in preparation for today. And I want to say what a stellar, stellar job you have done. You have taken this being seated on this panel in a way that we knew you would. You have risen to the occasion. You have met and exceeded, I believe, a standard that all learning can be like this, should be like this, that we empower you folks to say, this is how can be. And we listen to your voices. So I say that I'm going to pass it to 3 of you. If you folks might have some closing thoughts on Aloha ʻāina, and maybe, yeah, what you folks want to leave with everyone who's, as again, a final thought for all of those who have stayed with us and joined us today. Any one of you, la'i, or kawehi, mau mana'o, closing thoughts.
I just wanted to mahalo you guys for letting me be a part of this this live. Mahalo.
Same thing here. I wanted to say thank you. Sorry, Kavehi, I totally cut you off. My bad. Sorry. I just wanted to thank you for letting us share our ideas with you on this makaha idea you guys are thinking of, and just wanted to thank everybody who came and supported us and our ideas. So mahalo nui, everyone, and yeah, mahalo.
Yeah, I just want to thank Auntie Kule and everyone who set this up and letting me be on here. I think this format is a great way to spread ideas and get the community thinking and engaged with problems that need solving. So thank you.
Oya ihola, and our mahalo to you folks. Kavehi, what you just said, the questions that we brought forward to you folks are real time. These, for us who are in this Aloha ʻāina, kiaʻi loko, any one of these Aloha ʻāina positions, these are things that we think about and we're dealing with right now. So all of these are real time. And the solutions that you have brought are added to our table. And we hope to see you in sitting, again, like we said earlier, on our boards, or becoming, and that's something that we talked about, opening up ʻŌpio seats. I can at least say for the myriad of tables that Auntie Ku'ulei sits on, I bring that suggestion forward. Just as we can have an at-large seat and a whatever different seats on different boards and councils, that we have seats by which you folks would occupy. ʻŌpio voices, ʻŌpio seats. And so I'm going to leave you folks, particularly you 3, and I see many more haumana on here. Yep, and look at that, my cousin Lehua, Sandy Kamaka is right on my wavelength. She put up in the chat, cultivators, and here is the poem. I said I am going to dedicate this poem. I read this particularly to you 3, but to all of the ʻŌpio who are on and those who aren't. But I write this poem looking at myself and many others that I stand shoulder to shoulder with as cultivators. And that we certainly, maybe literally, we cultivate trees that we plant and many other things, but that we cultivate tomorrow's leaders, tomorrow's kūpuna. Someday you folks will all be makua, kūpuna. You will move through the phases of life. But that I want to say to each one of us, if we can look at ourselves as cultivators, what and who are we cultivating? That I think is beautiful food for thought. So to each of you, here is my aloha. On behalf of Hui Aloha Kiholo, we thank you all for joining us. But here is my offering of my deep, deep, deep aloha for you three and for all of the ʻŌpio. Cultivators, auhea oko e na kanaka mahi ai. Where are you, cultivators? Cultivators, yes, you who plant seeds of a different kind, seeds of hope, of desire, of aspiration and liberation, encouragement, positiveness, of exponential potential, seeds to grow dreams, speak visions of hope to the ears of the universe, safe places where doubt does not exist and self-worth is magnified, not less than, but more than you ever thought possible. Insufficient is not a word spoken, not the attitude present. Yes, gifts of all and any kind realized and celebrated. Unique pulsating vibrations of support lift you up. Yes, be all you can be. Judgments stomped, smashed, thrown out. Be who you are meant to be, your higher self, higher calling, more than hear the call, heed the call, feel it in your being, step up. Let us know that you are there. Let us know that you are willing. Let us see that you are able, capable. For ultimately, let the cultivators know that you are ready, ready to assume your place. Be on alert. Let it be known, you cultivators of today, that here and now we have grown, the cultivators of tomorrow. Ola. Cultivators of tomorrow. That's what I see on my screen. So, whew, to all of you, to all of us, let us continue to cultivate. Be cultivators, be cultivated. Even as an adult, I truly believe that I'm continuously cultivated by ʻāina, by kūpuna, by all that continues to cultivate. So here we are. To each and every one of you, ke aloha nui, and we hope this will not be the last. Hui aloha kiholo will continue to bring forward your voices. Let us see how we can continue this, what it could look like, and to the world of possibilities. Ke aloha nui. Ahui ho aku ya kako. Happy Aloha Friday! Happy Aloha Friday! Ahui ho! Aloha, aloha, aloha nui.